From zero to clean lines, watch the magic happen. Pixels turn to profit, yeah, that's pure design alchemy. Late nights, bright screens, we don't do the average. Vismiles Design Academy, learn it, then you brand it.
Alright guys, welcome back to the video tutorial, the video course. Now today is day 1 and we're going to be looking at the introduction and fundamentals. We're going to look at 3 things today. We're going to define the terms. We're also going to see the types of motion design and also the principle of motion design. Alright. Okay, so now let's start quickly. And let me open the slide here. Not this one, this one. Okay, so now what is motion design? What is motion design? So basically, if you look at the word, you find out that there are 2 basic words there, motion and design. All right, but let me just do my normal definition before we go into my own idea. So motion design is a dynamic field that combines graphic design principles with animation techniques to create engaging visual experiences. So I'll take that again. Motion design is a dynamic field that combines graphic design principles and animation techniques to create engaging visuals. It involves bringing graphics, text, and other visual elements to life through movement, time, and storytelling. So what is all this about? What does all this mean? So basically, this is what it means here. Motion design is broad. That's what I mean by when they say it's dynamic. It's not just one simple stuff. It's a bit wide. It's a bit wide field because there are various aspects in motion design. But this field in particular we're talking about makes use of graphic design principles, and graphic design principles include contrast, alignment, hierarchy, what else again? Proximity, all of the graphic design principles, and it adds to this graphic design principle animation. So when it say you animate something, it means you give it life or movement, or you make it look like a real stuff. You give it human characteristics, which is like movement or the characteristics of living things. All right, make them alive. All right, so it's used animation techniques to create engaging visual experiences. So now this is a still design. What we see here, what you might be used to normally, is still graphics. You get, and still graphics means it is not moving. Everything is just basic on its own. All right, everything is just still. Nothing is moving, like a stagnant water. But now motion design brings it to life, making it engaging. So it involves bringing graphics. The graphics now in graphic design talks about line, shape, color, texture, text, right? Line, shape, typography, fonts. That's what I mean by graphics. It involves bringing graphics, text, and other visual elements to life through movement. Now, here's the key word. If it's not going to move, then there is no motion. So basically, as I am speaking now, there's a motion in my mouth region. My lips are moving up and down. My tongue is also moving up and down. My teeth are touching each other at some point. And I'm also shaking my head as I'm talking. So that is motion. So if it's not going to move, then it's not yet motion. There's no motion yet. It's not yet motion design. So if a design is just basically static, even if it's just the title that moves, that is motion design. All right, there's something that changes position. There's also timing. You have to know how to use timing in motion design, and storytelling. So this is what motion design is all about. So as a motion designer, you are a person who knows how to combine graphic design principles with animation techniques and create engaging visual experiences. All right, I believe that is clear enough. Now let's dive into the next stuff. Simply put, motion, there are three words involved in all of this stuff. There's motion, there's graphic, there's design. So motion refers to the movement or the change over time. Okay, and in motion design, this involves animating visual elements to create a dynamic and engaging experience. So enough of the talk. Let me show you an example. So I'm going to create, this is the Alight Motion app. After this class, I'm going to show you how it all works. I'm going to create a shape here, and I'm going to give it a color that is similar to, okay, let's just give it a white color. And I'm going to make it fill the composition area. So it's all white like this. This is going to be like our chalkboard where I illustrate everything I want to illustrate. So I'm going to do two things now. I'll create two shapes here. One, and I'm going to take it upwards like this. Then I'm going to create, let me just bring it down a little bit. I'm going to duplicate this particular shape, duplicate it, and bring this one downwards like this. So for now, the both of them are static. And if you see, this is my timeline here. This is 2 seconds in particular. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here you would see that there is a timestamp here. It shows 2 seconds. All right. So when I scroll here, in 2 seconds, everything is still together, are still in one place, static. Even if I increase it to infinity, they'll still be static until I animate them. So I'm going to pick one and animate it using this. So I'm going to let you know all of these terms first, but because of illustration purpose, let's just do this first. So to animate, you have to make use of keyframes. So we're going to look at that. So I'll put a keyframe here, and at a second, what? Okay, at the second, this should move from here to here. All right. Okay. So now, at the initial second, everything is static, but as time goes on, this one moves. All right. So that is what is the difference between a still graphics and a motion graphics. So I'm going to add some curves to it. So it's going to move slowly and later faster. All right. So that's basically what it means when they say movements from time, using time. Okay. In motion design, it involves animating visual elements to create a dynamic and engaging expression. So you see, there's a difference between these two shapes. One catches your attention, the other does not really catch your attention. Basically, the human eyes tracks movement. If I have about 4 circles or 4 of this particular shape here, and I want you to pay attention to any one of them, they have the same color. I just need to make one move, and your attention is going to be drawn there. This is like motion design's own way of creating contrast. All right. So the contrast there is that one is not moving and one is moving. One is static and one is moving. All right. Let's go straight to the next one. So graphic in motion design relates to the visual elements such as images, illustrations, and text. In motion design, graphics are often used to build as the building blocks for creating animation. All right. So yes, just like in still graphics, you're going to have lines, shapes, color, text, and texture, and all of those stuff. In graphic design, you also need all of those stuff. In motion design, rather, you also need all of those stuff. Then the design part. This is where it's most important. In the design part, it involves the intentional arrangement of elements to achieve a specific purpose or communicate a message. All right. In motion design, this includes the thoughtful use of composition, typography, color, and storytelling to create a compelling visual narrative through animation. So the key word here is through animation. If there is no animation, it's just a normal still graphics. All right. If there is no animation, it's just a normal still graphics. So you are using the elements, typography, composition, typography, color, and storytelling to create a compelling visual narrative through animation. All right. Okay. So now let's dive into other part of the slide. Let's talk about the terms or the keywords that we use in motion design terms. So let's say you just got admitted into the university and you're studying, let's say, economics. There are going to be words that you need to get acquainted with. For example, you need to get acquainted with the word demand, supply, consumer, producer, all of those stuff. Or if you're into a cooking school, maybe you need to get used to words like pot, spoon, salt. You need to know all of this stuff. So the same way, when you want to learn graphic design, motion design, you need to know some words, some terms. All right. So now we're going to be looking at keyframes, easing, timing, storyboarding. All right. So now, what is a keyframe? Okay. So now here's what a keyframe is. A keyframe or keyframes are fundamental in animation. They mark the beginning and end point of changes in an animated parameter, like the position, scale, or opacity. Now, what does this mean? Keyframes are basically what measures where the motion starts and where the motion stops. Okay, now let's do a practical. We're going to turn up our chalkboard again, and now we have two elements here. We have two elements here. Let me use this one that we've already animated before. And so this is how it works. When you want to create a movement or animate an object, what do you want to do? Do you want to move from point A to point B? What do you want to do? Do you want your shape to increase from this size to something bigger? You get? Or you want your shape to move in a particular pattern. What do you want to do? So now, what you want to do determines where you go to in motion design. So for example, now, this is our shape, and you see right here, let me show you. Let me take this guy out. You see right here, this down part here, it says move and transform. There's this small part here. It says move and transform. So meaning in this section, you can move or transform your object. So now let's say we want to move our object. You click here, and earlier, let me restart, reset location, reset transformation, everything. Right. Earlier we did an animation before. So now keyframe. What is a keyframe? So see keyframe here, guys. This guy here is what they call the keyframe. This one that is staying right here, this is a keyframe. Alright, it's that diamond shape with a plus in it. It's a diamond shape with a plus in the middle. That is a keyframe. So this is like a marker. Okay, at 1 second. So now, where's the parameter? The parameter is this, or in some other place you can see it as a time frame. You get, this is your time frame because it marks the minutes. So let me just do it again for you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We're going to use this one now. This is a time frame here. This part up here, and this guy here, this slim one here that has the timer showing you the second and one line in the middle is called the timestamp. All right. So your keyframe shows you or marks points in your time frame. So you mark at 0 second. I want the animation to move at, I want the shape to move at exactly 1 second, or maybe at exactly 0.15 second. So it's not up to 1 second. So we mark here. So you've marked 2 points. This is where I want it to start. This is where I want it to stop. Start, stop. All right. The movement. So go to your start position, and you may say you want it to be here at the beginning, and at the end you want it to be somewhere here, down here. All right. You would see that at 0 second, it's going to travel to this point. So that's basically what keyframe does. Keyframe marks the beginning and end of a motion. All right. Keyframe marks the beginning and end of a motion along the parameter. I hope that's very clear. So when you want to create anything, whatsoever you want to create, let's say we want to make it have more than one motion now, from here to here. Okay, after here, I want it to go somewhere else at another 15 seconds. I want it to go somewhere here. So then after that, I want it to go back here. Then at the end of 2 seconds, I want it to come back to the original spot where it was. Okay, so we've marked different points where we want our object to move to. Then if we go back to the beginning and you see it moves to the first, third, yeah. So it moves to the different position you marked it to be in. Do you understand? So that's basically it. Keyframes mark the beginning and end of positions or of movement in your design. So this is the beginning, end here. This is another beginning, another end, another beginning, another end, and so on. You can move it anywhere you want to move it to. All right, so that's what keyframes are. Reset location. Okay. All right, so that's about keyframe. Now the next one is easing. Easing. So you should understand easing to make animations feel more natural. So easing is a way to make the animation feel more natural. It controls how quickly or how slowly an animation accelerates or decelerates between keyframes. Okay, let's open our board again and do some illustration. So now this time around, let us do something like this. We start here. How did I do that? I did not put any keyframe. I just shift. So in Alight Motion, this section is where you move your elements. Swipe here to move layer. All right. So this is where you do the movements. You can also, you can also hold the element like this and move, but there are places or times it works. So basically, this is where you can still touch it on the screen and just move it, but basically this is where you use. The time where you need to touch it from the screen would come, and I'll tell you. All right, so let's say this is where we want it to start. So click our start position, and let's say at 0.15 second, we want it to be here. All right. Now we talked about easing, right? So if you notice, this is just moving very, very straight, very, very straight. There's no realness in it. It's just so straight. All right. And it's not lively. So easing is, as we said, is controlling how fast or how slowly your layer or the object moves. So now, where do we control it now? Where do we control it? So this is where we control how fast or how slow our object move. This guy right here is who controls that. So now it's called the easing curve. It's called the easing curve. That's what its name is. So its work is to ease things, and that's why it's called the easing curve. I'm joking, yeah. So now let me explain what these curves mean here. So basically, now let me shift this guys up here and use this one here. So these are graphs. These guys here are graphs. All right. Now the first one is a linear curve. A linear curve is basically a straight line. All right. So guys that are not used to mathematics, me too, I'm not used to mathematics, but I just had to know it because of this. Is a straight line. Then the other ones are not linear; they are not straight. All right. So by default, when you create a keyframe, it's going to take on a linear curve, meaning it's going to just be, the motion is just going to be straight, no difference. So now let me explain what this graph is talking about here. So now this is the graph here. Let me show you. Oops. Go back here, go back to the movement, go back to the easing. All right. So this is what this graph is talking about here. So now from here to somewhere here talks about the slow part, the beginning of your motion. From here to here talks about the end of your motion or the movement. All right. Now, the first one up here, the first one that it is naturally in is the first curve here is this linear curve. The second curve is the easing curve. And like I said, what it does is that from here to here it shows the beginning part. This means that at the beginning part of this motion, it is going to be slow. How would I put it now? The closer the curve is to the ground, the closer the curve is, the closer the curve is to this point means it's slower. Either of these points, the closer it is, let me undo that. The closer it is to either of these lines means it will be slow. The further apart means it will be faster. All right. Okay. Now let's show you practically what it means here. So now this first curve says it's going to be slow at the beginning and at the end it's going to pick up the speed. So let's see how it works. Slow, fast. Let me drag this keyframe to the end. All right. To drag keyframe, just tap on the keyframe and drag it to the end. Okay. So we'll see it slow, fast. All right. It started slow, fast. Let's see the difference. I'll put in a linear curve and start again. The motion is just static. It's just no difference. Okay. So let me do this again. Let me even make it slower. So to do that, I'm going to click and drag on this stuff here. Where is it? Movement. Let's see. So I'm going to drag this guy here. This guy. All right. You can hold any of them to edit it. So I'm going to drag this guy here to make it very, very slow. All right. So slow, then fast. You see that? So now this is what easing does. It makes it come in slow. It controls the slowness or the fastness or the acceleration or deceleration of the graphic. All right, so now let's choose this next one. The next one now, its difference is like the opposite of the first one. It means it starts up fast and ends slowly. All right, so let's try it out. It's fast, slow. All right, so all of this will come in handy. Understanding this will come in handy when you're trying to do a real animation project. All right, it's fast, slow. This is going to add life to your design. Then the last one here is slow at the beginning, fast at the middle, slow at the end. All right, so it's going to be like slow, fast, slow. Again, let's do something like that. These are all nice curves. These are like my favorite curves here. So we're going to learn how to do it very sweetly. So do you see that? Slow, fast, slow. Again, this is amazing though, for so fast though. Okay, so that's basically it, how it works. There are other kinds of curves too, and these we're going to go into them later. So that's basically what the easing does. All right, so now let's go on to the next one. Oh, not that. The next one now talks about timing. So knowing timing or knowing how to control the timing of animation is crucial. It involves setting the duration of movement and coordinating actions to create engaging sequence. So that's basically what we did there at knowing the time, knowing like how we did here at so time. At 0 it should start, at 15 it should stop. This would help you when you're working with music, so you can mark where the beat is and you will know when your motion should start and stop. All right, so now let's go on to the next one. On to the next one now. Storyboarding. So now this would help you if you learn it quickly. Storyboarding helps beginners or anybody, even professionals. Storyboarding helps professionals and beginners plan out their animation before diving into detailed design work. It is a visual roadmap that outlines the sequence of events. So this is basically deciding what will I show first. It's just like when you're acting a movie, this is act 1, scene 1, act 1, scene 2, act, that kind of thing. So that's basically what storyboarding is. It is the place where you decide what happens first and what happens next. All right, so you don't just come onto your app and you're confused on what to do. You should plan what you want to do before you jump in here. It's the same thing with graphic design. Sometimes designers sketch what they're about to design before designing. They have a visual picture in their mind of what they want to do before they start doing it. Before we go on to the next one. So we've looked at what storyboarding is. Now let's go on to the next stuff. Now, types of motion design. There are various types of motion design, and you really need to pick an each. All right. There are motion graphics. There is UI UX animation. There is a title sequence. There is logo animation. There are explainer videos. There are character animation. There are kinetic typography, and there are infographics animation. These are broad terms. All right. Motion graphics just simply involves animating normal still graphics like this. UI UX animation involves where you kind of like bring life to your normal still user interface and user experience animation, trying to show how it really works. It's like a advanced step of mockup. All right. I don't know if how many of us know what mockup is. All right. Then title sequence. You see those stuff they show in movies or in YouTube where the header, the name of the brand just pops up. That's what is title sequence. Logo animation talks about how you animate logo. For example, there's Nike logo and many other brand logo. So logo animation is part of motion design. Explainer videos. Let's say I'm going to do something for you now, and you're going to, if you're familiar with YouTube, you would know this. Now, let me clear my voice. You see something like companies of all sizes use BigQuery. Yes, BigQuery. You see, sorry about that, but I'm just trying to let you remember what an explainer video is. So you see sometimes on YouTube, you see when you're about to watch a video, they will show you something like companies of all sizes use BigQuery, and that's an explainer video. And you see illustrations that are moving like they are live. That is an example of explainer videos. Then character animation, like advanced step where you go into 3D animation and all of those stuff. That's still part of motion graphics. Then kinetic typography is basically a creative way of writing or animating text. Then infographics, it's still it's still part of motion design. All right. So without wasting much of our time, let's dive into the next stuff. Now, Now, principles of motion design. What are the laws that kind of govern motion design? Timing and rhythm. So like we said before, we're going to learn when we start, knowing where the animation should start and knowing where it should stop is talking about the timing. All right. Then the rhythm has to do with the consistency in animation, that your animation follow a particular kind of flow. It's not like one is too fast, then the other one is very slow. Everything has the kind of uniqueness. No, not uniqueness. They have a kind of similarity. Yes, that is it. So when you're doing motion design, one of the ways to maintain rhythm is using the same kind of easing curves, right? So they all have similar easing curves. So everything is coming slow, fast. It's going to make it very, very cool. Then another principle of animation is easing and acceleration. We just talked a little bit about easing and acceleration. We talked a little bit about easing and acceleration, where you know how to control the speed of your elements. So easing and acceleration talks about the control of speed. Hierarchy and composition. Now we've started entering into the principles that are similar to graphic design. Know what is most important in communication and how to create a hierarchy. Okay, let's do something. Let's do a practical. So let's say we want to do a graphic design or an animated stuff, like saying votes. Okay, Alight Motion has a type too, so you could use type. So let's just choose this font here and give it a color. Let's just use this font here and give it a color. Let's use black. All right, so this is for tutorial sake. All right, I'm going to increase this guy here. Oh, I wrote photo. Vote rather, not photo. All right, so let's say we want to do a motion graphics and we say something like this. I want to say votes, maybe another the other names here. These should be bigger. Just understanding hierarchy the same way it works. The most important, or arranging your information in order of importance. So if vote is the more important stuff and some other stuff is less important, let votes have the animation. Okay, let's do it now. I'm going to add another text and write votes the learn motion design. Let's just say this is our text here. All right, and I'm going to give this one black text too. So now remember we said that in animation, once something is able to move, it can grab attention. So in these two words here, let's say vote was the key word, or is higher in hierarchy, is more important than learn motion design. One way to carry out hierarchy is by animating it and leaving the other guy not animated still. All right, so we can create an animation from here to here, making it bigger here. All right, then let's just add a curve here. So okay, that the animation was not too obvious, the hierarchy was not too obvious. So let's say I make it big like this. Let's adjust it to be here. All right, so at the beginning of the stuff is showing something like this. So when I am able to animate the word that is more important, that is one way of carrying out hierarchy in motion design. All right, so as we proceed, we're going to learn more of this. And composition has to do with the arrangement of your elements on your canvas, which is where your design space. Another principle of motion design is typography. Now, in typography, what does this principle talk about in motion design? This has to do with the use of legible fonts. In motion design, remember, you are working with timing, so your text might not stay on a screen for a long time. So take advantage of your time. Make sure your write-ups are legible and also not too much. So in motion design, you don't want to put in lengthy messages like this one I have here in my still graphics here. You don't want to put it there because motion design is moving. If it was in the still graphics like this one we're seeing on the screen here, it's very, very fine because people can pause and look at it and say, learn the basic principle, blah, 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 blah. But in motion design, you're working with time and your elements are moving. They are going to go out at some free time. So you don't want to put in a long information within a short period for people to read, or else communication will be lost. All right. The goal of graphic design, motion design, any kind of design is to communicate. So you want to preserve that goal or meet that goal. And also visual storytelling. Let your design work not just be boring. Learn how to use it to tell a story. Now, color and contrast. In color, in motion design, learn to use a color palette. All right. So a color palette is basically a set of colors that a brand have or a product have that you have to stick to. Don't go on using colors in an abusive way, causing riots. All right. Then in contrast, contrast is very, very simple actually, but very tricky. When you're using a dark background, don't use a dark text or a dark element on a dark background. Let there be a difference, very, very great difference. So if you're using a dark background, let the elements you put on the background be a lighter one, a lighter element that would call for high contrast. All right, consistency and branding. This has to do with using the same fonts, using the same shape or motion style. And branding. Now, this branding has to do with when you're working with a branded project. Let your font and the color be consistent. So now here's the pro tip here. Learn the basic principles of graphic design and apply them in your motion design work. So it's very, very, in fact, before learning motion design, you should have a good knowledge at least of graphic design. All right, learn the concepts such as typography, color theory, layout, hierarchy, and visual balance. They are just as important in motion design as they are in still or static graphic design. So understanding this principle will help you create visually compelling animations that effectively communicate your message or story. All right, and also practice applying graphic design principles in your motion design projects and strive to achieve harmony between motion and visual elements for a cohesive and impactful results. All right, so if you've stayed to this point, I want to give you a very, 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 very warm congratulations. You're on your way to becoming a very, very good visual storyteller through motion design. All right, see you in the next video.